Hello and welcome to another episode of Clark Talks About Things and Stuff, where I talk about things and stuff. Today we're going to be talking about something that I don't really do a whole lot on my channel, also known as Pokemon and other Nintendo properties. So Pokemon used to be one of my favorite franchises of all time. There's a reason for that. Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield killed my interest in the entire franchise. Or at least when it came to buying all of the games, because I was one of those people that would be all like, oh, new Pokemon game's releasing. Okay, might as well pre-order it. I mean, for God's sakes, I pre-ordered the Japanese version of Sword and Shield to get one damn shirt. One freaking shirt that was exclusive to Japanese audiences. Re-freaking ridiculous. Anyways, and then they added DLC to the game. Really cool. Making a game that's already that divisive and then adding DLC on top of it. Good job, Pokemon. You completely killed my interest in the franchise. And judging by, Pokemon BDSM, I think I'm fine with missing out on a lot of the other games. True, Legends Arceus does look like it was an okay game. And Scarlet and Violet does look like they're taking a page from that game instead of Sword and Shield. And, well, I guess before we actually get into Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I think I need to talk about something that really pissed me off, especially when it came to Gen 8. The other games. Now, when it comes to the other games in this franchise, more so being the, spin-off titles, a lot of them weren't really that interesting. First off, you got Pokemon Quest. Hi, editor here. Just saying that, Pokemon Quest was not a Gen 8 spinoff, it was a Gen 7 spinoff. Maybe if they added more than Generation 1 Pokemon, I would have noticed that. But hey, at least it's funny to know that Cerebi at least put Pokemon Detective Pikachu 2 and Pokemon Sleep on that Gen 8 spinoff list. That's hilarious. Secondly, we have Pokemon Cafe, which is basically Disney Tsum Tsums, except now it's Pokemon. And then you got Pokemon Unite, which is their shitty League of Legends clone. No. There was no way I was going to play those games. And, I haven't. Good. And it really pisses me off because a lot of, the Pokemon Presents, from, 3 years from now, I think, it's been mostly just okay, let's start off with some Pokemon Go stuff. Then we'll talk about some Pokemon Cafe and Pokemon Unite shit, and then here's the new game or whatever. And it's just so annoying that they really focused their effort on Unite and Cafe, especially when there's lots of games that they could do with the Pokemon franchise, but they simply don't. Today I'm going to be showcasing my ideas, and yes, I don't think that this video format will be done entirely often. So yeah, the first thing that I think needs to be done with the Pokemon franchise is Pokémon Stadium. Now, they did actually release Pokémon Stadium 1 and 2 for the Nintendo, for fucking NSO. Fuck NSO. It's the one thing that was the main thing. Right here's the mountain of me hating Nintendo nowadays. That was the pebble. That was the one thing that started my hatred for Nintendo. It really did. And guess what? They didn't get better. Not at all. And this expansion pass, expansion pass onto a thing. Game Pass Ultimate. Don't think I've actually detailed a lot of why I think Game Pass Ultimate's way better than Switch Online, but dude, it's $12 for hundreds of different games, and you can actually play them, as opposed to fucking Nintendo Switch Online, where it's oh, here's Mario 35. And then they're all nah, let's just get rid of it. Whatever, who cares? And then they add the Stadium games onto Switch Online. And then they say that you can't transfer the Pokemon to and from the Stadium games. What the fuck? That was the whole damn point of those games. It really was to see your Pokemon in 3D, battle with them in 3D, and all that shit back in the 90s. And you just decided to put them on the service for no fucking reason. Good job. Good fucking job. And to round this off, I forgot about one thing. The Virtual Console 3DS games,
allowed you to transfer them into, like, Sun and Moon and all that crap. So why the fuck doesn't it work with the Pokemon Stadium games in home? It makes no sense, Nintendo. You make us pay $50 fucking for this shit, and you do nothing with this. What is wrong with you? This is one of the worst decisions I've seen Nintendo do in a long time. Even Amiibo. Well, Amiibo are worse, but, like, still.
So obviously, let's talk about Stadium. And another reason why I think a Stadium game would be really, really good for Pokemon right now is thanks to Sword and Shield and the entirety of the Dex cut, and then bringing back all the fucking legendaries and shit. Like, that's the one thing, that if they're going to be doing this whole, like, oh, we're not going to include all the Pokemon in, you know, the Pokemon franchise anymore, then at least have a Stadium game where you can actually, you know, use the Pokemon. And originally it was just going to be like, oh, just add it to home or whatever. But honestly, I think it could be even more than that. Because, yes, you could add it to, like, home or whatever and have a lot of home compatibility with it. You can bring all your stuff from BDSM, you could bring all your stuff from Legends Arceus, you could bring all your stuff from Sword and Shield, you could bring all the stuff from Scarlet and Violet, throw them all in the home, and then go to the Battle Simulator and duke it out there. Where it has, like, all of the gimmicks, all of them. It has the Mega Evolutions, it has the Z Crystals, it has the Dynamaxing, it has the Terra Stealing. Yes, I know that this is essentially just the exact same thing as Pokemon Showdown, but, like, that's the thing. We don't really have an official version to play, you know, with all these Pokemon. Having a thing that is like an official Pokemon Showdown would be a great idea, especially because there are other games in this series that have been nothing but like that. Basically, all the games from, like, the first 4 generations, they have their own bit of Stadium games. Like, obviously, Gen 1 had Stadium 1, Gen 2 had Stadium 2, Gen 3 had, like, the Coliseum and XD Dale of Darkness, and for Gen 4 you had Battle Revolution, but after Gen 5, they just kind of, like, didn't really bother. But now that they're not going to include all the Pokemon anymore, then at least do that. At least make a Stadium game where we can actually use all the Pokemon. And like I said, they can make this just like a little side thing in home. Kind of really doubt it. Especially for how much of a mess it does otherwise. But they could also do something really great, which is something I'll call like Pokemon Virtual Stadium. How about that? Where Pokemon Virtual Stadium would basically be like the first 2 Stadium games, where basically all of the game is basically just battling. And, you know, you have like the online center where you could, you know, play online, obviously, and compete and, like, do crap in that with Switch Online, because you could do that, and then you have, like, the single-player mode. And the single-player mode, I think, should be something similar to what, again, Stadium 1 and Stadium 2 has, where basically you fight, like, 4 trainers in a row, and then you get a gym badge, and you get to continue, and you can save your progress and all that crap. And I think it would be pretty cool if it was, like, regional as well, where it's all like, oh, okay, you're going to be starting out with the Kanto, like, region or whatever, and then you can, like, battle your way up to, like, the Johto, the Hoenn, the Sinnoh, the Unova, And I think one thing that would also make this game a little bit more interesting is not having the game in 3D. We are getting freaking tired of all the Pokemon games being in 3D. And all that. Gen 5 graphics, I think, would be appreciated at this point. Having just all the Pokemon being sprite-based formats would be great, especially because Sword and Shield's fucking excuse was the fact that, oh, we can't do that anymore, considering the fact that the game has had, like, 3D models, even though it's literally just the same fucking models from the 3DS games, but, you know, whatever, who cares, especially because we're only going to have, like, 10 gigabytes. Sorry, Sword and Shield just sucks, that's all I want to say about that. And, like, again, you could have, like, all the gimmicks or whatever. And another thing, if you for, like, how would you even get all these gimmicks and all that crap? I think it would be a good idea if they, after you be, like, a normal trainer, you get, like, 1 BP. You beat the gym leader and get the gym badge. You get 5 BP. You defeat an Elite Four member. You get, like, 10 BP. And when you beat the champion, you know, you go through the entirety of the league, you get, like, an extra 25 BP or 50, or I don't know. Where then you could spend your BP in the shop to get to get like the items and all that, to get like all the Mega Stones, to get the Z crystals, to get like Dynamax candies, so you can like up your Dynamax stats. And fuck it, you know what? I think it'd also be pretty cool if they had like a random mode where it's like, oh, okay, first we got Erica, then we got Faulkner, and then we had like Flannery, and then at the very end you have to fight Blue. I don't know. I think that would be pretty cool. And again, I think that'd just be nice. I also think that maybe it'd be a cool idea if you could like limit yourself to like the Kanto League is all like, oh, only Kanto Pokemon, stuff like that. That does sound a little obnoxious, but that'd be nice to do that. But Clark, what if I don't have those Pokemon? What if I want to do some breeding? Just do that. Just do that. Literally just and put like a breeding section in there. Have like, oh, you want to put this Pokemon and this Pokemon together and do like the normal breeding stuff. Have them on like a cooldown timer, and then have them produce an egg, and then like have a hatchery that holds like 3 eggs or something like that, and then the Pokemon hatch again based on their timer, stuff like Dragon Veil or whatever. And like you could even make some extra money off this game if you were just wanting to like, oh, okay, speed this up using some crystals or whatever, some breeding gems, I don't know. You do that, and then and you know how like in the Pokemon games it's like easier for Pokemon to hatch, like certain species of Pokemon are way easier to hatch than others. I think doing like decreasing the cooldown timer to something like that would be a good enough idea. And I don't know, I'm just spitballing ideas because Pokemon's not really doing anything outside of just throwing the first 2 Stadium games on fucking Switch Online. So that's at least something, okay? And I guess also incorporate like a couple mini games to break up the monotony. Again, spitballing ideas here. Now that we're done talking about Stadium, let's talk about Pokemon Pinball. Pokemon Pinball is a kind of small game in the franchise, really only having 2 entries, Pokemon Blue, the regular Pokemon Pinball, and Pokemon Ruby Sapphire. Where, again, I think that this idea has a lot of potential and, like, could be expanded upon, especially with how big the franchise is nowadays, as opposed to, like, the first generation and the first third, like, Hoenn. Wow. Like, you have how many regions in this series already? Why not make a pinball game like that? But there's kind of a problem with pinball games that I really hate. You see, getting a pinball game isn't the same as it used to be. Like, you know how people complain about, like, DLC and how stupid that shit is? Well, guess what? Most pinball games nowadays are, like, a lot of microtransactions. In order to get this table, you have to spend $2.99. Oh, that's cool. Until you realize, oh, wait, there's 70 fucking tables in this game, and they're like $3 each. That's a lot. That is a lot of money. And like, again, if you're trying to complete these tables or whatever, it is so obnoxious. So yeah, but I think for Pokemon Pinball, this idea could work kind of as like a free game. And again, just like put all the Pokemon in there, have like, you know, oh, the Kanto region has this set of Pokemon. Oh, the Sinnoh region, whatever. The Sinnoh region has like all the Sinnoh Pokemon and also some of the Pokemon from the previous generations going backwards. Like, again, very simple concept. They could do this, but they focus on Pokemon Cafe. Why? Why do they focus on fucking Pokemon Cafe? Who gives a shit? It's a fucking, like, match 3 kind of bullshit. And I think comes, the one game that I really want to see out of Pokemon nowadays. The game that I really, really like, that hasn't had the best treatment as of late. Pokémon Rumble. Some people would say that Pokemon Rumble's not really that good. I guess. I do think that Pokemon Rumble is, I think it's a really fun game, especially on the WiiWare version, which is the one version of the game that I actually have played, kind of. Because, guess what? After the 3rd entry, everything went to shit. because the third entry was Pokemon Rumble U, where you had Skylanders-esque toys and you could put them on the gamepad. Whoa, how cool. Who cares? And that was like the only game that actually worked with the NFC thing outside of Amiibos, to my knowledge. I don't remember. But, you know, you have all that. And then you have Pokemon Rumble World. I hate Pokemon Rumble World because it's another one of those microtransaction games. And the fact that this game was just like, look, it's just not good, okay? Pokemon Rumble World is just not a good game. And then them making a version of the game that gives you like a special tree and grants you gems or whatever, that shit's stupid. Okay, that's stupid. And then, of course, locking out worlds like that. I know I said for Pokemon Pinball they could do that, but that's a pinball game. At this point, it's expected for them to do that. But Rumble World basically just locks out the entire world to you until you spend some gems. And it's like, oh, here's the Hoenn Pokemon stuff. Here's the Johto Pokemon stuff. It's like, who cares? I think that, again, they should have done, like, something like the original WiiWare version. And it's so sad that that's the only real version of the game that's actually good. And you can't play it anymore. And neither can you really play the latest Pokemon Rumble game, which kind of went back to its roots. Kinda. It's another fucking shitty-ass mobile game. And it died. Good. It was pretty bad as a mobile game. I'm going to be honest here. But again, there's potential in this entire concept that they just don't want to do. Like, Pokemon Quest is already, like, I think an evolution of Rumble, but I think that we could go one step further, okay? Something to really draw people in with Pokemon Rumble. Alright. So here's my ideas for this. First off, give us an actual overworld. I'm not saying anything like fucking Scarlet and Violet, you know, like that big. No, I mean like a little sub area and then like an area to go all to the other areas. Kind of like Diablo. Since basically Rumble is Pokemon Diablo, okay? Let's be honest here. And I think again, a Rumble Pokemon Diablo would be a fucking cool-ass idea, especially because I've been playing a lot of Minecraft Dungeons lately, I'm going to be honest here. But, again, that concept is not doomed from the start. I do think that it could work. It's just that the Rumble series has gotten so crap, and guess what? Now we don't have a Rumble game that's actually available for the Switch. And you're wanting me to fucking buy either Rumble World or the 3DS sequel, which I have never actually bought, and then lock out the actually good Rumble game behind the WiiWare service that no longer exists. This was actually done on accident, I'm going to be honest here. Okay, but anyways, what's some ideas? Again, having like a little central overworld, kind of like the first game, but like maybe a little bit more lively would be a good enough an idea. I would like that. Maybe the Pokemon Rumble games don't really have that much of a story either. And since they're like toy Pokemon, I guess they don't really need that much of a story, let's be honest here. But having one separate from the other games, I think would be a good enough idea. Maybe just, I think, a simple enough idea with the Battle Royale. I think that's good enough in my books. Because really, you're going to be playing this more for the gameplay. One of the major changes that I think should be the case is giving the Pokemon 4 moves. Giving the Pokemon 4 moves is a pretty obvious thing, right? Especially when really the whole reason why they didn't have it was because Pokemon Rumble for the WiiWare service, all the WiiWare, that was basically only just 2 buttons on the Wiimote. And that was the whole fucking point of the game. You know, you could play the game only on, like, the sideways Wiimote. And then, like, you have 1 and 2, and you mash attacks and all that stuff. I think giving the Pokemon all 4 of their available moves would be pretty nice. And have their learn sets be off of, like, I don't know, Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet, you know, that kind of stuff. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Also, bringing in the Pokemon from those games to here would also be a good enough idea. And I'm going to be honest here, I don't remember that much about Rumble World. Rightfully so, because the game kind of sucks. But I don't remember if there were, like, Mega Evolution Pokemon in it at all. But if there was, do it again. If there wasn't, include them, please. And, like, okay, here's the thing about the Rumble games that really everyone hates. Not being able to evolve your Pokemon. You go from, like, the very beginning of the game, the, like, lowliest Rattata ever, in the original one, and then you're just all like, oh, look, a Pikachu. Get out of here, shitty-ass Rattata. And it's like, you could do better than this. Again, the whole point is that, oh, you're catching Pokemon and you're supposed to, like, befriend them and all that crap. But I think, like, especially for the end game, when you have, like, a really powerful Pokemon you caught, and, you know, like, the special traits and all that, I think it would be a good idea to include, like, an evolution system. Now, I'm not saying, like, oh, Pokemon evolution the way it is, but I mean more so, like, you know, you get, like, a certain amount of Pokemon captured with a certain Pokemon, you defeat a certain amount of bosses, you gain this much money, and you do all that, and then you pay a fee, and then, ta-da, your Pokemon is upgraded to the next evolution. I think that would be, like, the best way of doing so, and also allowing us to choose, like, what form we want. Oh, we want, like, a normal Cubone, a normal Marowak, a normal Alolan Marowak, you know, that kind of stuff. I think that would, I think that'd be pretty good. And a good way of incorporating, like, the Alolan forms. And, what else? Honestly, I can't think of much else because, well, Quest, again, kind of takes a lot of it. And I'm going to be honest here, so you know the Power Stones in, Pokemon Quest, right? Yeah. I don't know. I think that they would be a decent enough inclusion to the game, and I feel like it would give a little bit more strategy, more depth, more everything, and especially if we're not really going to have Pokemon carry items and stuff. I know that, like, Pokemon, like, Dynamaxing is, like, a whole other, it's, like, kind of a problem for Pokemon Rumble, but I still think it could work. Have it be, like, a thing that recharges over time. Same thing with, like, Mega Evolutions. Z-moves also, I guess. And, like, you could equip an item to a Pokemon to do that kind of stuff. Where it's like, oh, do you want this Pokemon to Mega Evolve? Oh, do you want this Pokemon to Dynamax into their Dynamax form? And speaking of Dynamaxing, it should only be accessible to the Gigantamaxes. You know, the ones that have the very special forms. And not just Pokemon, but big and red. Whoa! Revolutionary fucking concept, Game Freak! But yeah, I think they should be limited to the Gigantamaxes. I'm sorry about that. And, you know, the Z-moves could be just kind of like, whatever. Be all like, oh, okay, you can use the Z-move to, like, get rid of the things. I'm not really sure how Terra Stealing is going to work at all, but, I think just kind of keeping it the same would be okay. For Pokemon Rumble, I think it'd be good. And, like, again, I think the main goal of the game should be, you know, going out and doing the Battle Royale and all that crap. And I think, because it was a really cool thing to actually unlock, I think they should probably gate you from the Pokemon from, like, the first generation to the second generation to the third generation, etc., etc. The more that you do in the game, the more battle royales you fight, the more generations become unlocked, and, like, you can go back to the previous levels and be like, oh, there's a Wimpod over there, and it used to be just a Caterpie, but now it's a Wimpod. That's nice. You know, something like that. Again, I think there's a lot of potential with these games in particular. But, again, Game Freak just doesn't want to do those. They want to do Cafe, they want to do Unite, and I just think that's incredibly lame. So, hopefully with Gen 9, they do something, okay? So, in conclusion, I really doubt anything's actually going to fucking change in my entire... my breath was incredibly wasted on this stupid video. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. So yeah, thank you all for watching this video to the very end, and I'll see you all next time when I have more things and stuff to talk about. Goodbye. Now that we're done talking about Stadium, let's talk about Pokemon Pinball. And two problems with this game. One is that Pokemon Pinball is a game that exists